My fellow Decepticons, we are back. I'm sorry it's been a while since our last release. Hopefully this video will make up for it a bit, but we're going to talk about TFcon 2019, B in DC. Now, we're going to go over all the different aspects of what happened from what we did as a group from Transformers Universal Discord and the Transformers Amino and the Decepticon Empire, all of our different projects coming together. But the big news is we went live on stage and showed our Minecraft world for the first time to the public. Now, this was something that was very exciting. A lot of people put a lot of hard work into it. So I'm going to just talk about the highlights of the convention for me. And as this is a Decepticon themed channel, I actually kind of want to talk about this from a Decepticon point of view. And we'll save that right for the end. Now, pretty much from the start, I was organizing a few different hotel rooms. There were some people who were staying in the Hyatt. I live locally, so I did not originally intend to stay at the Hyatt. And then by the time I tried to book 2 or 3 rooms for our large party, it was no longer possible. Now, we did have a room party with what would be expected. We did have like a pizza party, and we had just a multitude of different people come. These events were very successful, and we all had a lot of fun, and that's just the most important part to me, was to see everybody coming together to enjoy the franchise they love. There are a few people who I'd like to thank, like Rob, who let us use his room at the Hyatt, as well as play Cards Against Humanity on top of the bed that he was supposed to be sleeping on. Now, we were there for a total of 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sunday was the day that I did the big presentation, and I was lucky enough to have Ratchet 7 come up on stage with me to talk about the musical component, where he's composing his own original score to be added into Minecraft based off of the theme of our Transformers world. Now, there are some people who had come to me with questions just asking what TFcon was like, and that's what we're going to get right into now. So I bought the premium pass, which means my ticket was about $100. There was, of course, tax. But what this ticket allowed me to do, and I found a lot of people had confusion about this, was I got to, at 6 p.m. on Friday, go into a special room set up that had just the convention exclusives. So there was Bulkhead, and there was, I believe, a Grimlock, and a few other collection exclusives. I really only buy Megatrons, unless there was a Megatron made out of one of these molds or vice versa. Then, I actually didn't pick up any exclusives. And unfortunately, I forgot to ask if anybody else wanted them, because I could have picked them up for one of my friends and then been paid back. But I intend to do this every year, where I get the premium pass. I really enjoyed my time there. The TFcon staff was great. They were very efficient, nice, kind. Some of them were just fun to talk to, but they all had the information we needed. Nobody was like confused if I asked a question. So that was a pretty nice change of pace from some of the other larger cons I've gone to, where they just have such a vast set of volunteers that sometimes it's hard to get a straight answer. Now, that doesn't involve them handing you a piece of paper to figure it out. But we're going to go straight into, again, the premium pass was, I believe we got to enter the dealer room on the dot at 9 a.m. as a premium pass holder. The lines were kind of confusing, and I just found it easier to walk up and ask, because they had the early access, which is separate from the premium pass holders. So premium pass holders were going into the early access line and then finding out that there was another line. So then they'd run over to that one, and as soon as the doors opened, it was a frenzy. And by the end, it looked like a lot of the vendors had, done great for themselves and cleaned out a lot of stocks. I even saw 1 or 2 vendors who were just gone, and they said they just didn't have a lot of stuff still left to sell. So that's great to hear that, the community seems to be doing well, and supporting each other and some of these vendors who come from pretty far. Now, part of what I did was I was there looking for a few different things. Now, I never got the chance to go to BotCon. For a long time, I wasn't too interested in the conventions. And then I went to Comic Con, I think, in 2011. Maybe it was 2010. And I think that might have been my first major convention that did not include a Star Trek convention. I went to with my father too as a kid. That was my first. But like the first like huge modern convention was definitely New York Comic Con, which was a trip in itself. Now, the dealer's room, the way it was set up was they just had booths everywhere along the walls and on the interior as well. And the Chosen Prime had a great setup. They often do, and so did Ages 3 and up, with these beautiful glass cases and the figures on display in fun poses. And I liked what they did with the Masterpiece Beast Wars figures. Though I was tempted, I did not buy every Masterpiece Beast Wars figure. I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh man, they have them set up so nice. I could have the crew of the Axelon versus the crew of the Dark Side. And I was like, no, stop. I was like, they're getting me with this. They're getting me with this setup here. So I walked away. Now, originally, I knew I wanted to buy one of the Transmetal or Transmetal 2 Beast Wars Megatrons that they had. I think there was a total of 3 different types. One was more of a repaint, but the one I ended up going with, I will show in my haul video where I show all the figures I bought. But I was really happy with the vendor selection. I was able to get almost every single figure that I just so happened to be looking for, and additionally some that I did not know I was missing. So that was pretty fun. The majority of what I pulled in was BotCon exclusives, and I only had one bad buying experience, and again, I'll break down that in my haul video, but that part was pretty disappointing. So my experience in the vendor hall when something like this, there was so much stuff initially that it was almost like overwhelming. I was like, okay, I can spot a Megatron figure from a mile away, but like I'm there looking for figures I don't have. So that requires like a little bit of a attention to detail, like a Megatron repaint, where if it's Megatron's head on a different character's body, I might not recognize it. So like all of the stuff, the plethora of items they had from G1 stuff, they had a prototype of the Big Boy Unicron figure that was never released back in the 80s. I think it was a replica of the prototype, yeah. But it was cool to see they had some things that were like Lucky Draw Optimus Primal, the Transmetal 1 version, monkey on a surfboard, always a fan favorite, especially at the time. Everybody loved that. But yeah, I was very happy with the ability to go through and look at the different stuff. Some of the dealers were, very friendly and willing to work out things for people who were willing to purchase larger quantities of items. So that was kind of a little bit different than the first year that I went, where I felt that a seller was being very stingy, and they wanted me to split a $30 PayPal fee for a $1,000 transaction. So that was the other year, though. So this year's vendor hall was great, in my opinion, and there is a great amount of Decepticon stuff. Just to briefly touch about, the con from a Decepticon point of view. So there is hats, shirts, merchandise. It wasn't just completely Autobot centric or, like 25% Decepticon. And I felt like there was actually a really good mix, and there was interesting designs and stuff. It wasn't just, stock photo of Optimus, stock photo of Megatron put onto a hat, right? They actually had some pretty cool prints and snapbacks and stuff like that. Now, to get into kind of like the artist alley, I had met, just through talking to people on Twitter, an artist named Dorka, and I was able to find them at the convention and purchase a really cool cross-stitch Predacon logo in a frame, because I knew I wanted to kind of set up a better Predacon display. And I normally don't buy as much art, but now I've started to get into it, and I really like to support the artists in the Transformers community now. Just I feel like the quality of stuff just keeps going up and up. And on that note, during the registration, which we did on Friday, I met a woman named Rachel who was selling or adopting scraplets, and we talked a lot, and it was really cool to see all this creativity from the fans. A real shout out to those two artists. I'll try to link their Twitter handles in the description of this video. Now, we essentially went out and went to this convention as a huge group, so like the organizational part of that was a little bit difficult, but we were able to set up 2 hotel rooms that had a kitchen. We had girls in one room, guys in another, just out of respect. So we wanted to make sure that the convention was fun, comfortable, safe for everybody. I brought snacks and food and drinks, and some of that we kept in the hotel room, some of it we brought to the party. And the party that we had on the Saturday night of the convention was pretty awesome, and 17 people came, and we actually had some people have their parents come who were also interested in Transformers, and we kind of got a cool overview of things other people are working on, just kind of the perspective of even maybe the youngest person who attended that we knew was 16, and they were there with a family member, and we got to meet some of the family members, and I think they were surprised at how normal most of us are. And by most of us I mean everyone but Starscream, the current Starscream. I'm sure that as he's editing this video, he will try to edit this out, but we'll see if he listened. If this part is missing, then you guys will probably never know, but I will, and I'll call it out in the comments. Now, we played games like Cards Against Humanity, One Night Werewolf. That was a lot of fun, and that was hosted by one of our members, Lugnut. He seems to be an expert game master when it came to hosting it. So it was a lot of fun to watch everybody try to guess who was lying about being the werewolf. I, of course, started as the werewolf, and I did not win, but I was able to take out a decent portion of the village. And then I don't know if Lugnut did this on purpose, but in the next round, he gave me the card called the Prince, which means if I'm voted to be executed, that I can come back, right? But I was killed by the werewolf in the first round, so it didn't matter. That's what I get for being the werewolf last round. Oh, and the leader guy. Now, going into some of the other different events we did a few different photo shoots together where we took some photos. We'll have those appear in the video. We also did a dinner on Friday night at Nando's Peri Peri. If you haven't tried out that restaurant, I would highly recommend it. And everybody said it was delicious. And strangely, there was another restaurant I really like right next to it. But then the next night we did the pizza party, and I ordered 10 pizzas from Domino's, and they tried calling our room and we hit the wrong button, so we then had to run downstairs to catch the driver before he tried to run away. So that was an adventure. And as I said, like 17, 18 people I think showed up to that party in general. So it was kind of nice. Some people stopped in, but we played the games. We had a few drinks, those of us who could, and it was just a nice time. And for anybody who is younger, we had sodas and stuff like that, water bottles, the usual stuff. But when it came to the overall con experience, I had a lot of fun with going to different room parties where we would go in and trade Transformers. and I found some pretty interesting dealers and hosts, and we had just a great time talking about Transformers, trading figures, so many knowledgeable people, and a lot of rare product too. Like not just hey, you want some Siege, right? They had some quality Siege figures there that I was looking for, and I brought some of our crew in, and you know, it was really nice to be able to have those conversations. I met some. I saw Bolt Matrix there, and me and him had a nice conversation. I've met him once before. Sometimes we meet up here in Maryland, uh, but we all had a good time. I think just everybody who came from the Transformers Universal Discord, the Amino, and the overall Decepticon Empire. Which, for those of you who might be confused, we own and manage Transformers social media resources, and our objective is to make them as fun and safe and enjoyable for everybody. And obviously, people won't agree 100% of the time, but I think that the verdict was unanimous that everyone had a great time with what had been set up, and I definitely had a blast. It was really nice meeting everybody, and there was some real leaders who showed through. Rob did a lot of great marketing for the group. I had 2,000 business cards printed out for the panel that I was running at 1 p.m. on Sunday, and we had a pretty decent crowd throughout the whole thing, and people came and went, and it was great, actually. I felt really happy about the turnout of the panel, and I made sure to thank all the people who made that possible. I mean, people put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and like last minute adjustments, and we had a great voice actor do the voice of Optimus Prime to get the crowd going, and we had some amazing questions and ideas brought to the table when we did the Q&A session at the panel. So I guess we're just talking about the panel at this point. And the panel was just so much fun, and Ratchet was kind enough to go up on stage with me, and also the Ratchet plushie was there for moral support. So we had a good time with that panel, and it was nice to see everybody's enthusiasm for our project, as we've been working on this for many years. And of course, there's the amazing Marktron, who somehow is not only good at coding but programming from a young age. So it's interesting to see that there's so many young people still involved in Transformers, and like actually utilizing their skills and talents. And we met a lot of talented people there, and we made some awesome new friends along the way who have joined our Discord server, and we met more Earth Wars players. For those of you who don't know, I am in the Dark Ops or Darkness Alliance. So if you're ever interested in joining that, you can always give me a shout out there on either the game, which of course my name is Lord Megatron. Unfortunately, I can't put my famous 7. I don't know what's famous about it, but that's how everybody knows who I am normally. But yeah, so overall the con experience was great. We had the hotel that was just a mile away, so we got to do some walking, and it was nice to kind of have that slower pace to just talk with everybody. And there was very few incidents or problems overall, and you couldn't have really asked for a nicer venue. The Hyatt Regency was very easy to navigate for the most part, except for the elevators. Those elevators are cursed, they're haunted, and they're scoundrels too. If anybody was a rebellious Decepticon, these elevators were worse than Starscream. Now, and that's saying a lot. Now, as I was saying about the overall con experiences, we just had a good time, and it was nice to see the different people come together, and there was people who supported each other, and there was some difficulties here and there, and I feel like as a group and as a crew, Ratchet lived up to his name and helped be a medic not once but twice, like the hero he is, and Starscream helped organize things and was a great editor. Rob did a great job with marketing, and Flame War did a great job of keeping everybody in the group together, and momming the group, whether she intended to or not. Um, and we met up with people who we had never met before. And, honestly, to me, any awkwardness that there was almost immediately faded. I mean, at no point did I feel awkward, but I could sense as people got to see that, we were all here for the same reason and just wanted to have a good time. That was the mood, that was the vibe, and that was a great thing to feel, because I think that it's a struggle, right? And life is a struggle, but it's just a struggle to every day put on that happy face. And I saw a lot of happy people there, and some amazing cosplays. So my one friend who I mentioned earlier, hopefully we can work on a project together, but they had this amazing knockout cosplay, and I met an amazing breakdown as well. And just a great set of people and friends and different friend groups. And somebody called me notable in the community, and I was at first thinking they were talking to somebody else, only because I guess I don't think of it that way. So I guess that was nice to hear. And we had a great time. That's really all I can say. Now, I know you guys will probably want to see some of the figures I've gotten. I don't do figure reviews, and I will say this now just so that everybody knows why. I do not transform my Transformers. Now, I have been criticized for this, but what I will do if I want a Transformer in the alt mode, or if I want a Transformer in vehicle mode, I will buy a second one so that I only have to ever transform it once. And sometimes I'll go out of my way to buy it already put into that mode. The reason why is the Megatron figure I grew up with was the Transmetal 1 Megatron figure. And even today, the plastic fatigue, I bought a new in-box Megatron for $90 a few years ago. And just trying to move it to robot mode, it shattered into pieces. So I was extremely disappointed. Now, if and I have like 4 or 5, I think, broken Transmetal Megatrons at this point, so quite disappointing. Now, on the terms of like the Decepticon side of things, like I said, there was a pretty good representation of the Decepticons in merchandise and stuff, and in figures, but there was also just a great representation of Decepticon fans. People walking around with Tarn masks on, and there was people with Decepticon tattoos. There was these two people dressed as Megatron and Starscream, and they looked pretty great. A great sound wave. Somebody had a giant Ravage. At first I thought that it was so big that at first I thought somebody was like dressed as the Ravage and like crawling around on the ground. So I was pretty amused, and I quickly realized it was just a statue. But that would have been some dedication to crawl around as Ravage the whole con. Probably not allowed either. But then we also saw a Sparkplug in Optimus Prime, and that was pretty cool. They had like a homemade costume, and it was just funny because when you think about Sparkplug, he really did just kind of have a construction hat and some boots and jeans and a shirt. And like he told us we're Sparkplug. He was Sparkplug, and we're like, yeah. I mean, that 100% is how they look, and it was just funny to think of how simple like cosplay can be, and just what a fun experience to be able to go out and dress up. Like, if you're not into making all your own costumes and stuff, there's just a way to represent yourself. And we saw a lot of hollow form characters where people dressed as the different characters, but in human form. Now, that was one of the things I enjoyed seeing, just because I liked the different like color palettes that people stuck to almost religiously in some cases. Me, I kind of did that. I wore a gray suit with a purple shirt at one point, a gray suit with a white shirt, just because it just looked good. And I also had a blue suit that I wore Not that Megatron was particularly ever blue. Let me look around my room. Is there any blue Megatrons? Nope, not really. But yeah, it was just great, and there was so much activity going on. That was kind of the nice thing, though, was despite all the activity, the lines were not terrible for almost anything. The only thing that was moderately frustrating was the confusion in the line for the premium tickets, because everybody who didn't have premium tickets seemingly got their tickets before the people in the premium line, right? But I guess the idea was that it didn't matter when we got our tickets because we were going into that special room. So right before going into the special room, they came through, they got all of this set up. There really wasn't that many, and we got to look at the exclusives, and it was very cool to see all the dedication the third-party companies put in. I remember swearing I would never buy third-party figures 10 years ago because all hail Hasbro, and I still love Hasbro, and I still love third-party figures now. So I just kind of started getting into buying them. They're definitely not normally my first choice, not because I'm anti-third party, but I honestly do really enjoy the different representations of Megatron. Even if, right, a look or a repaint or an exclusive isn't my favorite, right? It's about the completion of the collection and, finding things, enjoying the hunt, right, for the official figures. Now, I was kind of disappointed they had a third-party panel, and I was hoping to hear about a new Megatron or something, and I don't think that was mentioned, or if it was, I wasn't in it the whole time. But the other panels I enjoyed was, of course, Vince, when he talked about the music of the 1986 movie and the Angry Birds. Hopefully that doesn't become a meme. The Angry Birds game. Now, that game, I secretly love that game. There are so many characters and funny references. I don't even like Angry Birds, but this made me love Angry Birds. And I went out and bought all the little Angry Birds figures, even things that were not Megatron. That's how much I enjoyed the game. Now I try to spend less time on mobile games, which Earth Wars does not make easy. So, I do not play Angry Birds anymore, so I do not fall into that addiction again. But it was just so much fun. Now, another thing that I have to talk about before we come to a close here is there was a game that was a role-playing game, and it was just very interesting to see and hear that somebody had thought of a kind of 80s love letter game, and we will talk about that in just 1 second here. So anyway, the game that we ended up playing as a group was this game called Command Droids. Now, some of us got a chance to play the game, but because of the timing, unfortunately, I had to organize the party. So, anyway, we're pretty much going to wrap this up here in a second, only because this is going for a long one, but all the events that we took part in were a lot of fun. There were several great panels that I didn't get to mention, and if you're part of my group or group, feel free to sound off on some of the things that you really enjoyed in the comments down below, and I'd love for you to post your feedback. What was it like meeting me? What was it like meeting the other members of our group? We had a great time, and it was so much fun to meet everybody, see everyone play Command Droids and make the character and see how in-depth their world is. And we're going to try to put as many of the credits to the different people we've met and seen throughout the con in the description box below. If you feel that your name or you got left out, please let us know, and we'll be happy to edit that description box to make sure we can give you a shout out. Now, we will end this for now, and if you guys really want a deeper dive into TFcon, we can do a couple more videos on it, but I can say for sure we will be going to TFcon Orlando. Now, How many of us will go, I don't know. I will be flying there myself, and it is likely we will have 3 to 4 hotel rooms. So for those of you who are in our group who we know personally, you're welcome to reach out, and we will pack into these rooms. Now, anyway, this is Lord Megatron signing off.
Reroute all likes and subscribes to this YouTube channel.
But sir, what about the other YouTubers?
Any further objections? Ram this video straight into the minds of our viewers.